But then we move on to Sunday. And the first game that we're going to talk about is a team featuring a team that you were on in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a team I'm very high on, by the way. And I think they're going to win this game against the Atlanta Falcons 27-14.
Ooh, okay. Got a nice little blowout. I got Buccaneers 27. I got Falcons 21. The Falcons 21. The Buccaneers, I think Baker Mayfield's the guy. You've seen him on the Popeyes commercials, right? He's crushed it. He's figuring it out. The Buccaneers have found their franchise quarterback. And so Baker Mayfield going to be able to find his receivers, find his running backs, and make some plays. Emeka Egbuka, Jake, Ohio State guy. He's a sleeper. He's a sleeper. Of course, you got Mike Evans about to catch for 1,000 yards. I know Chris Godwin's a little hurt, and he'll be back, I think, in a month or so, and Tristan Wirfs. But the Buccaneers are looking good with Bucky Irvin in the backfield and that offensive line. Luke Getke, I believe they signed up for like $40 million just recently. So, yeah, it's going to be looking good for the Buccaneers. I'm happy for the guys.
Yeah, the Godke signing was huge for them to get that done before the season. But I look at this team and I just see really all across the board, Cam, they're just so well built, If there's one thing you want to nitpick, maybe the secondary is not as strong as in years past. And, the linebacker depth is a little bit of a question mark, but through and through, I really like a lot of what they did. And, I think that offense is just disgusting. I mean, you got Baker, you got, like you mentioned, Bucky the Buck, you got Mike Evans. I don't know when we'll see Chris Godwin, but obviously the fact that he's back is crazy. Emeka Egbuka is going to be huge. Obviously, Jalen McMillan went on IR, but, you still have a Tez Johnson, an undrafted guy who a lot of people expected to be drafted. Rashad White can come in. There's a lot of guys.
Tez Johnson, the backflip king. He had a crazy backflip in the preseason. That looked pretty sick.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then the offensive line, I mean, you got one of the best left tackles in all football in Tristan Wirfs, right? So Godke got signed, Malk, Barton, and Bredesen. A lot of protection there for Baker Mayfield. But in addition to that, you look at the defense. I mean, they got some guys like a Jamel Dean, and Antoine Winfield Jr. You look at the year that Yaya Diaby had last year. I mean, they have some guys that can really stand out. So this Buccaneers team is going to be a hard out. I think that they're 100% going to make the playoffs, and it starts on Sunday with a win over the Falcons. The Falcons, on the other hand, I like some of the Falcons. Penix, I don't know if is he legit? Is he not legit? We're going to find out. Can he stay healthy? We're also going to find that out because those were his issues in college. But the running backs look great. I think the wide receivers are a little weak. You have Drake London. I think he's an absolute stud, but I felt like they should have added more to that room. What is Kyle Pitts? We're going to find out. The offensive line, though, Cam, this is the big one. And I'm going to keep pointing to the offensive line because early on in week one, the offensive line is everything, right? Yeah. Look, it really sucks to see them lose to Caleb McGarry. And they also lost Drew Dahlman in the offseason. Ryan Newsel and Michael Jarrell, I'm not feeling great about, Cam. They got two gaping holes on the offensive line until I'm proven otherwise. So I just think that's a huge opportunity. What Diaby did last year and, some of the guys up front with Tampa, I think they're going to tee off on that. And then I think, while you look at the Falcons and they added guys on the defensive side, they're relying on some young players. They're relying on Billy Bowman. They're relying on Xavier Watts. They're relying on Jalen Walker, Ruka Rororo. There's a lot of young players that they're counting on to step up right away. And I think the defense could be fun, and they got some pieces, but Tampa looks ready. They look ready.
And we talk about this, the coaches. What does that look like? The coordinators. Raheem Morris, I think it's like his second or third year at the Falcons. I think he was at the Buccaneers at one point in his career. And so this is a division matchup, right? The Buccaneers and the Falcons. And so it's going to be a real battle. They're going to see each other twice this year to kick off the seasons, even better, a little bit more spicy. And this is going to determine the division, Jake, because at the end of the day, NFC South, the Buccaneers have the NFC South lock. They've been winning it for the past 4 to 5 years. They're making the playoffs. And so this game is going to decide who owns the NFC South. You got at the coordinator positions for the Falcons, Zach Robinson, and then you got Jeff O'Brien, who was at the Jets. He was the interim head coach for a little bit there. And so the defense, like you mentioned, Jake, is going to look strong. My question is, will they be able to keep Michael Penix Jr. upright? Like you mentioned about, you mentioned about another quarterback and their offensive line keeping him upright. That question goes for this team as well. You mentioned that the center leaving, Ryan Newsel being there now. Penix is a second-year quarterback, and having a new center to that offense is going to be a little challenging. And so they're going to play at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Nice crowd in there, no heat. So if they're playing in Tampa, Jake, I think the score would be way different than what we called it, but they're going to be in some nice weather. It's going to be good there. But, I can see Bijan Robinson going off, Jake. Kyle Pitts, he's going to have to figure this thing out. It's like his fourth year, I believe, at the Falcons. And so, hey, do the Falcons keep him and continue with Michael Pitts, or do they trade him away? What does that look like? But this game is going to be a good deciding game for this division. Excited.
Yeah, it's a huge game for the division. Where are the Falcons? We're going to find out. I think we have a good idea of where Tampa is, but hey, it's the NFL. So just when you think you know everything, you know nothing.